Chosen one, before the ground shakes or the waters stir, something is already beginning to change in silence. It is not the kind of thing that appears in the news. It is more subtle. It starts from within. A slight unease that grows, a feeling that something is out of place, even though everything still seems normal on the outside. Do you feel it? Not everyone feels it. In fact, there are few. But those few are scattered around the world like little beacons. And all of them, in one way or another, are receiving the same signal. Prepare yourself. Not with fear, but with awareness. Something is approaching, not just on earth, but also in the soul. This message is not new, but now it returns with strength. For decades, people have seen images, had dreams, received omens. Some have been discredited. Others have simply silenced themselves. But the signs continue. And when different sources, distant in time, culture, and geography, point in the same direction, perhaps it is time to look more closely. A name, a date, a premonition. July 2025. But it is not about creating panic or waiting for a catastrophe like one watches in a movie. What is at stake here is much more than a tsunami or a physical tremor. It is a spiritual calling, a warning for the awakened, an alert for those who already see that the surface of the world is cracking, and that there is something much greater trying to emerge behind it all. You are not hearing this by chance. There is a reason these words are reaching you now. And perhaps what you will hear here will awaken a memory that comes not from the mind, but from the soul. If this has touched you in some way, if it stirred something you cannot explain, follow this channel. Not out of routine, but because this may be the place where the pieces begin to fit together. Here we do not speak to the masses. Here we speak to those who are already feeling what has not yet been said. Now, listen carefully. The wave begins long before the water rises. Chosen one, there are messages that do not come through conventional means. Sometimes, the truth hides in unexpected places, like a book, an image, or even a dream drawn on paper. This is exactly what happened in 1997 in Japan, when an artist published a work that nobody understood at the time. Her name is Rio Tatsuki. Little known, discreet, she never sought fame or recognition. But her dreams have always been intense, symbolic, almost prophetic. And it was one of these dreams that gave rise to a manga that, years later, would shock the world. In the work, published independently, Rio showed detailed scenes of destruction, a giant tsunami, people trying to escape, a sea that recedes before swallowing cities. The curious thing is that these images were not created after the disaster in 2011. They were there, drawn 14 years prior. On the cover of the manga, there was a date, March 11th, the same date as the tsunami that devastated Japan in 2011. Many ignored this. They said it was a coincidence. Others didn't even read it. But after the tragedy, the work began to circulate again. And what once seemed like fantasy began to sound like an ignored warning. But why does this matter now? Because this same author had another dream. And this time, the revealed date was July 5th, 2025. Rio did not make predictions or guarantees. She simply shared what she saw, images, symbols, and sensations. And once again, she was not taken seriously. In her notes, she describes tremors, agitated waters, silence before the crash, an atmosphere of tension that precedes something significant. She does not speak of exact locations or technical explanations. She merely shares what she received in a dream. But those who feel understand. It is not necessary to see the complete scenario to perceive the call. The interesting thing is that this new dream has different characteristics. It is not merely a vision of destruction. There are also spiritual symbols, like ships carrying souls, wet clothes hanging as if they were left behind. There is something of transition, of passage, of profound transformation in this new warning. Some will say it is just imagination. Others will laugh. But the chosen ones do not ridicule the invisible. They pay attention, because they have already learned that the spiritual world speaks through unlikely channels. And when the message repeats itself, when the signs align, it is time to listen with the heart. This story is not meant to incite fear. It is to remind us that often alerts come before disasters, and that ignoring the whisper can leave us surprised when the shout comes. Rio is not a seer. She is just a sensitive soul who had the courage to draw what she saw. If you feel that this message has called you in some way, stay alert. July 2025 may or may not bring something visible, but something is already moving. And those with sensitivity know certain dates are not just numbers. They are milestones, portals, beginnings or endings of cycles. You do not need to believe, but perhaps you need to remember that the chosen ones do not live by logic. They live by listening. And if something within you stirred upon hearing this, continue. This story is just beginning. Chosen one, not every warning comes with sound or a clear image. Sometimes the message arrives while the world sleeps, and it is the dreams that become portals between what is to come and what has yet to be understood. Some people carry this gift, not to predict the future, but to sense time before it arrives. Rio Tatsuki is one of those people. She never sought the spotlight. She lived discreetly, away from the mainstream. But her mind, during sleep, became a kind of radar. She dreamed of symbols, scenes, sensations, and everything was noted in detail, as if she already knew that one day it would make sense to someone. In 1995, she saw images of cracks opening in the ground. Days later, an earthquake struck Japan with force, destroying homes and lives. She also dreamed of waters receding and then flooding. A few years later, the Great Tsunami of 2011 was confirmed with chilling accuracy. These dreams were not random. They were not vague. They were specific. Rio did not interpret. She simply recorded. It was as if she were receiving an energetic copy of something about to happen without fully understanding why. She did not make a spectacle of it. She simply followed her sensitivity. Now a new dream left a profound mark on her. A new date emerged, July 5th, 2025. And with it, images laden with meaning. Cities surrounded by water, distant explosions, cloudy skies. But mainly, a sense of alert, an atmosphere that something is about to move, and that few are paying attention. But this warning does not seem to be only physical. There are too many symbolic elements to be ignored. She saw people being carried away by currents, others being pulled upwards. There were ships, lights in the sky, a strange peace amidst the chaos. And all of this seemed more spiritual than earthly. It is as if the dream were speaking of two movements at once, an external and an internal one, a natural cycle of the earth, and another cycle of human consciousness. As if we are about to live a moment of energetic separation, where those who are awake feel the call, and those who are sleeping do not understand what is happening. It is not about saying that the world is going to end, but about remembering that certain moments serve as devices, as markers between the before and the after. The earth has gone through this before. The ancients knew. Past civilizations left signs, and dreams, when they are real, simply remind us of what the soul already knows. Rio's dream may just be another story if you choose to see it that way, but it could also be a key, something that, even without logical explanation, resonates with something inside you. And the chosen ones know what this is like. Something vibrates without understanding the reason. If you have been having strange dreams lately, if you wake up with premonitions, if you feel that time is denser or faster, perhaps your soul is also receiving signals. And maybe, instead of seeking answers outside, it is time to listen more within. Those who have ears to hear will feel, and even if no one believes, the signs do not stop because of that. They continue, because time does not wait, and the cycle, once started, follows the flow. Chosen one, not every tsunami carries water. Not every tremor happens on the ground. Some come from within. Invisible to the eyes, but felt in the body, in the heart, in the soul. And perhaps this is the true warning behind everything that has been emerging. A spiritual tsunami that has already begun to move, even before the sea stirs. Rio's dreams did not just speak of submerged cities or natural catastrophes. There were strong symbols there too significant to be ignored. Giant creatures beneath the ocean, explosions that did not come from the surface, soaked clothes hanging in the void, silent ships sailing with serene faces. It was as if the scenes were telling another story hidden beneath the first. And if all of this was speaking of an inner cleansing, of a collapse in the old structures that still live within us? What if the receding sea were not just the ocean, but life calling us to silence before the change? The spiritual tsunami arrives without a clear warning. You begin to feel different. Things that once seemed important lose their meaning. There is a fatigue that is not physical, a desire to disappear for a few days, to withdraw. It is the soul sensing the wave approaching. In this movement, everything that is false begins to fall. Masks, relationships without truth, paths that were chosen out of fear, not purpose. The spiritual tsunami comes and sweeps away what is not firmly anchored, not to punish, but to cleanse. Many are living this process without knowing how to name it. They think it is an existential crisis, that it is loneliness. But it is realignment. Water only knocks down what is not anchored. And the chosen ones, even if they tremble, remain. Because they feel that this tremor is, in fact, a birth. There is indeed something breaking, but there is something being born at the same time. A new way of existing. More connected, cleaner, more truthful. And this is what the dreams reveal. Not only what will fall, but what needs to emerge. If you are going through this inner tsunami, know this. You are not breaking. You are being shaped. This wave does not come to drown you, but to awaken you. Chosen one, what is happening now has happened before. Not exactly in the same way, but with the same energy, the same call, the same pattern. The earth does not move by chance, and the great transitions always leave traces. Not in the newspapers, but in the records of the soul, in the memories of ancient cultures, and in the whispers of those who came before us. The ancient peoples knew that time was not a straight line. It was a cycle. And that at certain moments, this cycle would close so that another could begin. They called this the end of an era, time of return, purification of the earth. And in each of these cycles, humanity was tested, divided between those who listened and those who ignored. The Hopi prophecies, for example, speak of the time of great separation, a time when the earth would undergo a cleansing, and only those who were aligned with the heart and truth would be able to cross, not by force but by vibration, not by merit but by attunement. Other indigenous traditions have also left their warnings. Peoples from South America, North America, Asia, they all speak of a moment when the sky would change, the earth would tremble, and humanity would need to choose, remain in chaos, or align with the new frequency of the earth. These messages are not stories to frighten. They are maps to guide. And the most curious thing is that they do not come alone. Scientists have also begun to notice that something is out of the ordinary. Not just in the climate, but in the planet's magnetic field, in solar cycles, in the collective behavior of humanity. The researcher Chan Thomas, for example, spoke decades ago about a cycle of intense natural events that occur every long period. His studies, though controversial, point to a kind of restart, not just physical, but energetic, a reset of the earth and consciousness. And when a message appears in such different places, among indigenous peoples, scientists, mystics, and even sensitive artists like Rio, it may not be a coincidence. It may be confirmation. The universe speaks in many languages, and when they all say the same thing, it is time to pay attention. 2025 frequently appears in many of these sources, sometimes with dates, other times with signs. But the most important thing is not the day marked on the calendar. It is the energy forming behind that. What is moving now is not just about prediction. It is about perception. The chosen ones do not wait for the wave to arrive to react. They feel it beforehand. They prepare from the inside out. They start to change habits, cleanse relationships, strengthen their faith because they know, even without proof, that the time is different, and that when the cycle turns, what is light floats, and what is stuck sinks. You can feel this. You don't need anyone to prove it. Just observe yourself. Has your sensitivity increased? Are your dreams more intense? Do you feel that you are being pulled inward, as if something inside you knows what is to come? These prophecies do not just talk about what will happen in the world. They speak of what needs to happen in you. Because every collective change begins with a personal transformation. And when enough of us awakens, the cycle also transforms. Chosen one, the time to observe from afar is over. This is the moment to immerse yourself completely in the process. The changes are no longer coming. They have already begun. And those who feel know. There is something different in the air. It is not fear. It is not hysteria. It is perception. A fine sensitivity that alerts you, even when the world does not yet see. Being chosen has never meant having ready answers. It means having the sensitivity to perceive the invisible before it becomes visible. It is reading the signs even when they are not written. It is feeling the vibration of things, of people, of places. And now, more than ever, this ability needs to be active. Distraction is the new poison. The mechanical routine, digital addictions, soulless debates, all of this exists to keep your mind occupied, while your soul screams for attention. The chosen ones can no longer get lost in this noise. Those who feel the call have the duty to maintain clarity, even when everything around seems jumbled. It is not about running to find answers. It is about slowing down enough to hear the ones that are already within you. This is the time for conscious silence. To filter what you consume, what you say, who you associate with. Everything now influences your vibration. Everything contributes to or distances you from preparation. To prepare in this context is not to stock up on supplies. It is to strengthen the spirit. It is to care for the body, cleanse the emotions, align your thoughts. It is to pray with intention, meditate deeply, cultivate faith, even without evidence. Because the faith that stands in the absence of proof is the faith that anchors chaos. It is also time to observe those around you. Not everyone is ready to listen, and that's okay. But some are almost awakening, and perhaps they just need someone to share, with respect, what they are seeing. You do not need to convince anyone, but you can be the one who plants the seed at the right moment. Being chosen is to carry a silent mission, not always recognized, not always understood, but deeply necessary. And now, this mission is activated. Those who awaken first prepare the way. Those who listen first become a support point when the winds arrive. The world does not need more noise. It needs lucidity. And the chosen ones are those who remain steadfast when everything shakes, who hold the peace when fear tries to dominate, who see with the eyes of the soul, even when the world closes its eyes. Be alert. The call has already been made. Chosen one, perhaps this question has crossed your mind in silence. What if nothing happens? What if the day arrives, the sky remains calm, and life goes on as if nothing had been predicted? What if the so-called great event does not come? What happens to everything you have felt up until now? Was it all worth it? This doubt is not weakness. It is part of consciousness. It is natural for the mind to question, seek answers, and want proof. But true awakening is not in the confirmation of something outside. It is in what changes within. In the silence that begins to make sense. In the attention that grows. In the way you no longer live as you did before. You did not begin to awaken out of fear of a collapse. You began because something inside you grew tired of superficiality. Because you felt a call to live with more truth, more presence, and more depth. Because you can no longer ignore what pulses in your soul, even if no one around you understands. The true alert was not about a catastrophe. It was about how much we were sleeping, about how much we lost our center trying to please, survive, or fit in. And if this warning made you stop, reflect, cleanse, and restart, it has already fulfilled its purpose. Even if the world outside remains the same. If nothing happens in the physical world, that's okay. Because what has already been awakened in you, no one can erase. You are more attentive to your feelings, more selective with your energy, more willing to live with purpose. And that alone transforms all of reality around you. The soul does not need an earthquake to align. It needs space, silence, truth. And that is what this silent call offered. The chance to return to yourself, to revise paths, to step out of distraction and adopt a more conscious stance towards life. Perhaps this moment served only to remind you of what you are. And if that is all it is, that is already significant. Because there are millions of people who continue to live on autopilot, never questioning anything. You, however, did not. You stopped. You felt. You listened. And this repositioned you on your axis. It is not about predicting accurately. It is about perceiving with sensitivity. It is about walking awake, even without certainty. It is about maintaining faith, even without clear signs. True preparation happens where no one can see, within, in the intimate space, in the place where only you and the divine know what is being healed. If the predicted day passes in silence, know this: the process was not in vain. Your transformation is real. And even if nothing happens in the sky, something profound has already happened in you. And that is already everything. Chosen one, you have arrived here not by chance. If something inside you has remained attentive during each part of this message, it is because your soul recognizes what the mind may still be unable to explain. You are not here seeking certainties. You are seeking meaning. And this search is already a sign that something in you has awakened. Many get lost trying to predict what will happen. They want dates, numbers, proof. But the true signs do not work that way. They do not appear in headlines. They do not make a fuss. They whisper. They touch lightly. They hide in the details. And only those with prepared hearts can perceive when something real is about to come. The sign is not the date. It is not the tsunami, nor is it the collapse. The true sign is what has begun to move inside you. It is the discomfort that has pushed you to seek answers. It is that strange feeling that time has changed, even though the clock still ticks the same hours. It is that emptiness that suddenly began to ask for presence. That you are being guided, even without having all the answers. Now choose what to do with this. If this message has moved you, do not ignore it. Take with you what makes sense. Share it with those who need it, but with respect. Remember, to awaken is not to impose. It is to ignite, and each soul has its own time. Each one awakens in their own way. Follow this channel if you feel that you need to continue this journey. Here we do not speak to everyone. We speak to those who feel, to those who perceive, to those who have already begun to remember that they are here for a greater reason. You are not alone. You never have been. And what is to come begins now, within you.